It should be starting up just a minute. How's it going, everybody? This is the Osmo.com NHL Strategy Show presented by Yahoo Daily Fantasy Sports. It is a Tuesday. We've got a ton to talk about. We're going to try to make this as concise as possible. Run through yesterday's awesome two-gamer that we had with a bunch of different lines scoring for a bunch of different teams. We'll look at that on lineup study. I'm joined by Nolan Kelly, as I am on most Tuesdays. What's up, Nolan?
What's going on?
Oh, the usual. Just been digging through this slate today and trying to figure out what I want to play. And so I think this is a fun one. Couple spots I love. And then after that, it's not all that great, I don't think. It's not that deep of a slate, I guess, for 13 games. I don't think so.
Yeah, 13 games. I think this is the biggest one we've had all year. Unfortunately, DraftKings doesn't agree for their contest sizing, but whatever. Thankfully, we have places like Yahoo to play on.
Yeah, exactly. Teeing me right up there, like a professional. Yahoo's got some interesting tournaments today. $300 to first in this $12. If you're talking about NHL, 4 max, so not a huge investment if you want to take a stab at the $300 to first. Nice flat payout structure. The top 3 get at least $100 off their $12 entry. They've got a $3, a $1. Some lower dollar contests as well. If you look at kind of their NBA contests as well, always got like a 5K to first, 30K baller it is today. I think it's a shorter NBA slate, and it's after NHL lock. So, go support Yahoo for NHL, of course, but also for other sports, NBA, and then NFL. Everybody loves playing over there for NFL because it's just lower management fees, it's weaker competition. And if you guys want to learn more about how to sign up on Yahoo and get up to $30 in Yahoo Sports rewards points, check out Emacs primetime article. Maybe click on yesterday's, or when it comes out Thursday, if you do remember, use promo code OSMO to get part of that, or at least figure out how to sign up for your deposit bonus, your potential deposit bonus on Yahoo. So shout out to Yahoo.
Sorry to interrupt.
No,
if you want to go play Detroit 1, go get over to Yahoo, man. They are cheap.
Dirt cheap. There you go. I think we're going to want to play Detroit 1. That's going to be a line I am heavily invested in, as to no one's surprise. So let me at the channel here and then tell everyone we're live that maybe forgets what time we do this, which is the same time every day, Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern. If this is your first time watching, go through the slate. We're going to go through lineup study from yesterday. What was yesterday? The 18th. All right, I'm on the correct date. This is an add-on with your FC Pro subscription. You can get this through your Osmo.com premium package, or I should say platinum add-on FC. You can also add on FC Pro and get access to lineup study, which is one of our favorite tools. Let's quick look at the $10 from last night. It was Andrew Pickham's. Andrew Pickham. He was the one to take it down. Just 2 entries. We've seen this a bunch of times, especially on shorter slates, which is crazy. People taking it down with solo bullets or 2 or 3 lineups or something like that. Just hit the absolute nuts. Step on with Schmaltz, Dvorak, Garland, Chikrin, our boy, Carlson, Wilson, his 2-man, unconventional 2-man Washington stack, and kind of an Arizona PP 1 stack with a Getzlaf 1-off and Ranta and net. So Ranta got the shutout. He was the chalkiest goalie of the night. Ovi actually didn't perform that well. You needed a little bit more out of him for that price and that ownership. And this guy was able to differentiate his lineup with the Wilson-Carlson 2-man that kind of got it done late. I think they hooked up for the empty netter at the end of that game. Slewfoot, only 35 lineups last night, but cashed 26. It looks like he went pretty much all in on Arizona and then just mixed in Arizona and Washington, it looks like. Basically all his lineups. I don't know if you got a chance to look at that, Nolan, but took it down second with an Arizona power play stack, as we've seen Slewfoot do a bunch of times. I think that's something that makes him different from the field is the amount of times he ends up with a PP stack up top when things go a little bit weird or a little bit unconventional correlations, especially for teams in good PP spots. So he had the double power play one defenseman with Chikrin, and I think Ekman Larson was listed on the top power play or maybe expected to play there. But 2 Arizona defensemen. His one-off was also Getzlaf, and then he had Ovi and Wilson 2-man. So there you go. Only 35 lineups. It doesn't necessarily take 150 or 105 max yesterday. Slewfoot doing it with less lineups than usual. All right, man. You ready to talk about the 13 gamer?
Oof, it's a beast, man.
It is. Let's
do it.
Yeah, let's start with Minnesota and Buffalo. We've got 2.8 implied totals for both teams, Alex Stalock and Linus Ullmark in net. And I don't see anything off the top, but correct me if I'm wrong. Changes here?
Yeah, so we got a couple small ones on the Sabres side of things. John Gilmore might be dressing as a forward. I can't remember who got injured. Somebody is day-to-day. They've also, hang on, let me just pull up my post here. That would be a little easier. And they've also, I think Marco Scandella is a healthy scratch, I want to say. Mm-hmm. Yes. Colin Miller draws back in on the third pairing with Yoki Haru. And, Rasmus Asplund centering the fourth line. I think they're going to go with 11 forwards and 7D is my guess tonight.
Yep.
And I think that's it.
Yeah, I think that's what they plan to do. Do you have anything you like in this game at all?
No.
So low total for Buffalo. I guess, I get Eichel wrong all the time. So maybe this will be another one of those times where I get him wrong. It's not a bad matchup for Buffalo one, but just where they're priced around, I don't think they're overly likely to be one of the top scoring lines. So I'm just taking lines that are cheaper, a little bit more ownership. In fact, Eichel's still getting almost 10% ownership, which is substantial on a big slate like this. So
we've noted that Minnesota's pretty great at chance suppression as well. One thing I did want to note that I forgot to mention, Minnesota 3 got a ton of ice time and a ton of correlated ice time together last game. I think they were all over 17 minutes, and Eriksson Ek had 20 minutes, I think. So if you want a cheap filler stack that might be like in the Bruce Boudreau's good favors right now, maybe that's one to fire off.
Yeah, I think they've used that trio as shutdown at home. So if that was a home game, that might have been why.
Okay, that makes sense.
But pretty talented line. Greenway and Cunnin, both two pretty good prospects. And then Eriksson Ek is kind of someone they've wanted him to be. They think he's going to be a good player at some point, even though it hasn't really come together so far yet. So
6 shots last game too, although that was a matchup against Carolina.
That's a pretty tough matchup, I think. So interesting. Yeah, probably a line I'll keep an eye out for on shorter slates. But if you're just going dirt cheap or you're paying up for like Boston 1 or someone like that, might be a line to consider. I don't really have much on the Minnesota side other than that. Stalzucker, Zuccarello, they're just cheap, but the low total, and I think it's going to be a pretty low expected pace of play. Doesn't really have me on much of anything in this entire game. That includes defensemen. If you wanted to take a stab at Dumba at 4,800, that'd probably be the guy, or Montour at 36. Other than that, this is not a game I'm going to be really invested in. Anything else?
Yeah, fair enough, man. I'm right there with you.
All right, let's go to Philadelphia and the Florida Panthers. 3.2 implied total for the Flyers. 3.4 for the Panthers. We've got Carter Hart and Sergei Bobrovsky in net. Bunch of changes on the Flyers side, right?
Yeah, they're just screwing around with everything here. So they have Morgan Frost, who's a former first-round pick, has I think 12 points in 15 AHL games this year. He's been pretty good. One of the better prospects out there, if memory serves. He's up centering the top line with Claude Giroux and Konechny. He's also really good at value. Kevin Hayes between Voracek and Van Riemsdyk on the second line, which is kind of an interesting line that's probably going to fly under the radar tonight. And then before the game, I think last time they switched up and Farabee was up with Couturier and Lindblom. Now that's the third line. If Morgan Frost is good, I kind of like these lines, but I don't know what to make of them right now. As well, we only have, it looks like, just Giroux from the top line Drew Konechny. So we don't have full power play correlation anymore for those top lines. On the Florida side, it looks like just one change on their fourth line. They have Dominique Toninato drawing in. I think he's just been recalled from the AHL, and Hunt is out.
Yeah, so I thought, looking at this total and looking at the lines and the possible talent we got on either side, Florida 1 was kind of the obvious call for me. I'm finding out that I'm not getting to a lot of them though. So I want to check where they're at on ownership because that's going to ultimately decide what I'm going to do with them. And right now we've got Barkov at well below 5%.
Wow.
Yeah. So like, I don't know. I mean, Florida might be your spend up to be contrarian option. They're priced up closer to Boston 1. And so, I have no problem taking a stab on Florida or getting overweight on them. If I'm single entering, I don't think this is a line I would end up on, even though I definitely understand why someone would. But like Philadelphia, I've mentioned a bunch of times, like they haven't been that bad defensively. So the 3.4 total puzzles me a little bit. Like I said, it's got to have something to do with what Vegas thinks of their goaltending. But I don't know. I'm not gonna be super heavy on Florida 1, even though I thought I was going to be. People, Ray Rock in chat saying maybe we're going to see some different Philadelphia lines, so keep an eye out for that. We'll know at 6:30 Eastern whether or not these lines actually stick. And I don't really know where I want to go on the Flyer side with it being so spread out now. Like you got Couturier, Hayes, Giroux all on different lines. There's kind of one or two guys on each line I don't really love playing. So, maybe you go with a Couturier, Lindblom, 2-man or something like that. I really liked Konechny with them. I don't really know what the matchup's going to be like either with all the spread out Philly skaters. So I don't know. For 6.5 total, game shading towards the over. I hope this one is one of the more quiet ones. What do you got?
Yeah, I think that I guess that they're going to fly under the radar a little bit. I think that's the only real advantage to rostering. 5% for Turia. That's nothing, right? Kevin Hayes, maybe that second line. I think the second line is probably my favorite play. You got 3 pretty talented guys on there, reasonable prices, low ownership, up against Florida, so that's not bad. But yeah, I don't know. Like you're right, Pip, to be contrarian, Florida 1, and that's about it. Like one-offs, maybe of Hoffman. Yeah, I don't know. And you said it, like we discussed it before on the show, but Flyers are in the top 5 in the NHL and limiting scoring chances and high danger chances. It's just their goaltending really that's been a problem. Their save percentage is it's not terrible, but it's middle of the pack. But so I don't know. I think they're a better defensive team than most people think they are.
Yeah, and I think actually the totals just updated as we were talking. So it looks like 3.5 going to the Panthers and 3 going to the Flyers. The last time I updated this lineup builder. What's that?
3.6 I've got for the Panthers.
Yeah. Alex has a little bit different totals than maybe what you're seeing on some other sites, but
Gotcha.
Big total nonetheless for Florida. So it makes me want to end up playing some of Florida 1 or at least forcing them in.
Certainly a great GPP play at that ownership.
Yeah, and I understand why too. Like on the big slates, if you're using an optimizer and you're just firing a ton of bullets, like I am. Yeah, it's not enough in today's like DFS just to take all the value lines and hope they hit. Like you still have to be different with your combinations, especially if you're running 3-3, and maybe 4-1 is one of those pay up to be contrarian spots where great raw point projection, but not necessarily going to get spit out in an optimizer when you've got Detroit 1 and some of these other valuable lines in like the upper mid tier, whereas Florida 1 is you have to nail Florida 1 for them to not kill you. But at 2%, like I think it's a little bit underowned.
Yeah, absolutely.
Defenseman, Yandel, 5,400, playing a ton of minutes, I guess, but
yeah, strongly correlated with Florida 1. I'd play them. I'd play him if I was rostering Florida 1, but that's it.
Yep. I'm not really getting to him anyways, but if I was, I would probably make a group on Fantasy Cruncher where if I'm playing Keith Yandel, I have to play one of Barkov, Huberdeau, or Dadonov, no matter what your line of construction. I just think his value at that price, even with the minutes he's playing, is like him having a big game. It's hard to imagine him having a big game without Florida 1 having a big game. So let's move it on. Let's go to Boston and New Jersey. We've got a 3.2 implied total for the Bruins, 2.7 for the Devils, Tuukka Rask and Mackenzie Blackwood in net. And big return here for someone on Boston. What else you got?
Yeah, so is that like I think he's still a game time decision, right? It's not confirmed.
Yeah, he skated this morning. Talking about Bergeron, he skated, so I have him as being in. I think he's going to be in.
Yeah, I didn't really look too much into these Boston lines because they're obviously going to change if he can't go. So if you're playing Boston tonight, you're definitely going to be want to be around your lineups just to make sure. But it looks like DeBrusque as well might be back. Is that I totally missed that because I was like, I'm not even going to bother looking at these Boston lines until we know. Looks like Jake DeBrusque.
Yeah. DeBrusque is in. We got him with Krejci and Brett Ritchie, and then Coyle, Bjork, and Heinen as the third line. I don't know. Is there anything else for news here?
No, not much. On the double side of things, Sami Vatanen is going to come back into the lineup tonight on the third pairing. It looks like with Mirko Mueller. I don't know if he's on the power play one or not. I couldn't find confirmation, but Daily Faceoff has him listed on the power play one again. So I would assume he probably goes back there because he was there before he left. But.
Yeah. So this one, wow. We have the Heischer, Hall, Bratt line being pretty popular, and that's another one where you kind of understand why when people are multi-entering. It's solely because they're cheap, and even though the matchup's not good, they're not going to grade out that well on a raw point basis. Like Hall is better than a $6,100 player. Heischer is better than a $4,100 player, and then Jesper Bratt is $3K. So they're affordable. I get it. I think the matchup, they're going to see a decent amount of time against Bergeron, Marchand, and Pasternak, I think. And then the Zajac line will probably see a decent amount of time against them as well. But I think it's enough for me to kind of get off of New Jersey 1 here. Low total, a boring team, and I don't know. I mean, you're just going to see any time against Boston 1 is not really favorable, especially for a line that hasn't been particularly good at 5-on-5. So for me in this game, even in MME formats, like I don't think I'm going to get to New Jersey 1. I was getting to them, but my intuition tells me it's a very bad matchup. And so I'm going to trust that a little bit and at the very least limit them, cap them very low. On the Boston side, what are you doing with Boston 1? Do you have any idea what you're going to do with them?
I don't know. I was kind of hoping the Bergeron ownership would be a little lower. You get to them a lot in the projections. It looks like they're coming up more than anything. I should note Vatanen is on the top power play unit. He's pretty cheap, $4,300 on DK, so not a bad price there. I think for me, it's just going to be about finding some unique combos to pair them with, and maybe putting in 5 Boston lineups, but then just finding some lines that I can pair up at less than 1% ownership for GPPs. I'm not going to compete with 5% owned, third lines that are probably going to be stacked with Boston. So, and then I like your point about Florida 1 as well. Like if Boston 1's going to be 10% owned or more, and Florida 1's going to be 1% owned, I'll take Florida 1. More often than not. So
yeah. So I think for 150 lineups, obviously I'm going to get to a bunch of Boston 1. I do have a spin ticket tonight, or I guess I bought in for a spin ticket, and so I've got one lineup in there. Like I don't think it's going to be Boston 1. It's probably going to they just handcuff your lineup, and I'm looking at the lines I'm getting with Boston 1, and some of the combos.
So many good places to go. Like I don't know, or not, maybe not good, but there are a lot of solid lines at pretty reasonable prices.
Yeah. So not only are they expensive, but you've got a good chance of being like a 1v1 away or being duped with someone, maybe not in the spin necessarily, but their lineups aren't projecting out quite at the top where they usually do. And so I think Grizzly's going to be a popular combo. I know Seth was calling the Grizzly Hattie. I don't really want any part of that outside of Boston 1 stacks if you're just power play stacking it.
Fish.
Yeah, exactly. We all know that though about Seth. So yeah, as an MME play, just to recap, I like Boston 1. They're not really a top 5 line for me if I'm hand building though, if that makes sense.
Yeah, makes total sense.
Chara over Grizzly, that's a nice way to differentiate, I think, in that same price tier, or McAvoy for that matter. Let's see what's going on in the chat. I see how you add players to a group. I don't see how you tell it if to use the group if Barkov is in. So, Rob, if you click on the little key to the left side of the player's name on Fantasy Cruncher, once you put them in a group, that will make the player the key player in the group. So then you can add it. Like if you make Yandel the key player, the optimizer will say if you're using Yandel, must use, and then it'll give you an option, at least one, at most 1 or exactly 1 or 2, 3, whatever you want, with when that player is used. So that's how you do that. It's just a little key icon next to the player's name in Fantasy Cruncher. Okay. Anything else here? You like Boston 2, 3? 3 is, I think, a little bit interesting.
Boston 3?
Coyle with Bjork and Heinen.
Yeah, so, that's decent.
It's a line I'll have some of. Yeah, not a priority play. But let's go on to the Islanders and the Penguins. 2.6 implied total for the Islanders. 2.9 for the Penguins. We think it's going to be Varlamov. The Islanders have been switching off goalies every other game for basically the whole season. Matt Murray going for the Penguins. That is confirmed. Any news here?
Just some small stuff. Well, on the Pittsburgh side of things, Hornqvist, Bjugstad, Crosby, Letang all out. So that lineup is pretty ugly. Pittsburgh 4 as well got a lot of run last game, a lot of ice time. So they're a fine filler stack, though. Like with the Bergeron line, though, like I don't think I'm going to get to them on a slate this big. And then on the Islanders' fourth line, the other face of has Ross Johnston in, but it's actually Leo Komarov. And Josh Bailey is up with Cizikas and Clutterbuck. One of my all-time favorite crappy lines to play as well. I think that's it.
Yeah, man. This is another one where it's a 5.5 implied total. We've got 2.9 going to the Penguins, but I actually like the Penguins' top line quite a bit. I like that they're priced up, and like they're going to be one of the more popular lines on the night, I would think. But actually, man, not even that high.
Really?
I thought I saw them.
I'm not getting that vibe at all. That's funny.
Well, I just figured, full correlation, top line, like no Crosby. I think if Pittsburgh has a big game here, it's probably going to be pretty concentrated towards the top line. And they've been good at 5-on-5 in their first couple games together, this trio, Gensel, Malkin, Rust. And I didn't expect them to be as good with Malkin stepping in there. So I don't know, man. Like, I think the matchup's going to be really good no matter who they go up against, whether it's the Barzal line or the Brock Nelson line. So looking at this ownership and kind of reflecting as I'm talking, I think I'm going to get to a lot of Pittsburgh 1. Like that, I mentioned Boston 1 maybe not being a top 5 line. But I think Pittsburgh 1 is probably borderline at least top 5 for me if I'm hand building. I don't know if I'm going to get there with my single entry. But it's certainly going to be a line I get to a ton in multi-entry.
Wow, it's bold. New York Islanders, 28th and or 4th most scoring chances against so far this season.
Yeah, they're just not that great. Defensively, they haven't been that great. And so I want to take advantage of that. Maybe the perception is that still they're a great defensive team. If you're using last year's numbers, that's going to...
What is it then? Because they don't give up a lot of fantasy points, right? They're first ranked in points against. They're bottom 5 in fantasy points to every position almost.
Yeah. It's
goaltending.
What's that?
Goaltending.
Like, yeah, that's what Cliffy keeps telling me. It's just very good goaltending they've had the last year and change. And so I kind of agree with that when you look at the numbers and you break it down. Like they should be giving up more
save
points.
Percentage in the NHL this year.
What do they have?
Second highest save percentage in the NHL this year.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. I'm probably going right back to Pitt 1. They had a big game on Saturday, and I don't know. I do like them, and you got to get up early on the Islanders, so they kind of open things up. They're really frustrating to watch, I've noticed, when they get up in the game, like a couple goals. So it's important to jump out to a quick lead, and maybe they have to get forced to open the game up. But like the Barzal line numbers, not great this season defensively. The Brock Nelson line numbers, not great defensively. So no matter who they go up against, I think it's a pretty favorable spot for them. And I don't know. The second line, nothing more than a filler. I've really got nothing on the Islander side that I'm too interested in.
No, I'm right there with you. I mean, I think definitely contrarian plays. I don't think anyone's going to get to very much Islanders stuff tonight, but I like where your head's at with that Pittsburgh take.
I didn't think it was going to be like, I just thought they would be like 6-7% owned, but if they're going to be half of that, like I'll take a little bit more of them. I just want to, on big slates like this, I just want to play lines that I think are good, or at least like good in terms of like raw talent, or just good in terms of like at least a decent sample of them having good 5-on-5 numbers. If you're looking like the line tool and natural stat trick, and they fall into that second category for me at the very least, and they're fully correlated. So that's important as well. Schultz is your guy if you're playing Boston 1, probably because of the power play. Or I'm sorry, Pittsburgh 1. And then that's really about it. Polak 4,600. I mean, is that a guy you're going with at all? I don't think he grades out that well for us.
No, I'm good. I don't think I'm gonna get too much of him today.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like I'm missing out too much.
No.
Maybe I'll
Still
eat my
25
words.
minutes, like just kind of not doing a lot, I guess. But
All right.
usually, I'll take Nicoletti.
3,500. There you go. 80, 90% for you, or yeah.
At least.
Who else will fish out on the classic Nashville letdown spot? Oh, just wait. We'll get there.
Oh, I'm in on that one, man. Let me tell you.
We'll get there.
We got the big boys reunited.
Yeah. Bobby Boom in chat says, play good lines, Manny Laura. Yeah. Well, he says play good players, but I agree. Play good lines, but also play good players in NHL DFS. And we'll get to the Detroit-Ottawa game, and we'll be playing some good players, but terrible teams. Right now, we've got Montreal and Columbus, 3.1 implied total for the Canadiens, 2.8 for the Blue Jackets, Carey Price, and Jonas Korpisalo in net. Changes here, it looks like, on the Columbus side, per usual.
Yeah, so they're mixing up their lines. Ryan Murray draws back in. Scott Harrington's out on defense. I just am relying on Daily Faceoff here. I didn't really see any of the beats tweet this out. So Daily Faceoff has Pierre-Luc Dubois, Mel Bemstrom, and Milano. Nash between Atkinson and Texier. I would say that wrong. Jenner, Bjorkstrand, and Nyquist, and Wenberg, Robinson, and Anderson. I think everything is the same on the Montreal side. Maybe one change on the fourth line. No.
What's that?
Same for Montreal, right? Like all the same, yeah.
I think everything is the same, at least from last game. So if anybody missed or didn't play over the weekend or whatever, Tatar got bumped up with Drouin being out. So Tatar got bumped, I guess, back into his usual spot with Dino and Gallagher. But other than that, that we've seen these lines for a full game now. What do you think about Montreal 1 at pretty low ownership? That's another one of those lines for me that, so like Pittsburgh 1, they're not getting a ton of ownership. They're not getting really any ownership, and they're not going to come up that much in optimizers for me, but I'm probably going to give Montreal 1 a manual bump just because of how good they've been. And this isn't like a 2-game thing or a 5-game thing. This is like a sustained sample of over a season now. Dano, Tatar, and Gallagher have just been unreal. And looks like they're all linked up on the power play. It looks pretty evened out between the top two units, or between the two power play units. And so while I don't think it's a phenomenal spot, who knows how these lines are actually going to shake out for Columbus. They haven't been that bad defensively, at least when you go by like chances allowed and stuff like that. But really, it's just Montreal 1 for me. Outside of that, like, do you think, man, maybe Columbus 3 is going to get owned with like a Boston 1 just because they're cheap? I don't know. If they're going to be popular, I'll probably go elsewhere. It looks like they are going to be a little bit popular, at least for a third line.
Yeah, they're super low on, so I kind of like that call. Are you seeing this McDavid and Draisaitl ownership here? Sorry, I just noticed that. We'll get to that game later, but man, is that low.
Whoa. Yeah, that is pretty low. McDavid's always so hard. And like I've noticed, like, there's McDavid, there's McKinnon, maybe Larkin, like they're just hard to project for ownership because they're always a little like way higher than their other guys. And now that Draisaitl and McDavid have been playing together for a good amount of time, maybe you just kind of pair those two up. And so they'll probably be maybe a little bit higher than that, but they're not really a team I've thought about a ton today. And that's,
No.
I mean,
sorry,
if it's going to be this ownership.
I got distracted there. I couldn't believe they were so low. So
no, if it's going to be at that ownership, like I should at least be considering them. And so back to this game. Montreal 1 is really the only target for me. I have no clue what to do with these Columbus lines or if they'll stay together on a 13-game slate. You're probably okay crossing this one off.
I'm on team fade. They shuffled their lines last game. They had no line combinations at 5-on-5, or sorry, one above 10%. So anytime Torts gets in this kind of mood and wants to shuffle, that's good enough for me to fade. If I'm correlating, I don't mind some one-offs, or if you want to stick with like a center and a winger in a 3-2-1 stack or something. I mean, you never know when these things are going to pivot, but for my money, it's not a great spot. I don't know. I'd rather go to a line that I know is going to be correlated.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and the frustrating thing is like Columbus 3 looks pretty interesting to me, but if they're just going to be the line that people go to with Boston 1 or one of these spend up lines like Florida 1, then I don't know that you need to X them out or anything if you're multi-entering, but definitely wouldn't be a line I would think I'm being sneaky with if you're playing in like the spin or something like that. So
Yeah.
not a line I'm going to get to with any sort of regularity. And then like you've got Riley Nash with Atkinson. Atkinson's been, it seems like invisible this whole season. I feel like he hasn't done anything. But maybe it's just because their lines have been in flux. I don't know. It's brutal trying to pick through these Columbus lines lately. Werenski Jones,
Yep.
like those guys at all, or Weber, Petrie? I mean,
Not getting them much. I'm sure they're fine, but I don't know. Not super excited about playing them tonight.
I have all those guys at under 5% right now, and I don't see a huge reason to get to any of them as like top defensive plays outside of maybe Petrie if you're running power play stacks with Montreal 1 and you just want some added correlation. But 5K, it's okay. I mean, it's fine. That's about all I have. This game's pretty gross, I think, for the most part. Ottawa and Detroit, this one's not gross. 3 implied total here for the Senators, 3.4 for the Red Wings. Anders Nilsson in net against Jonathan Bernier. We've got 2 bad teams going up against each other and a high implied total. So that usually means there's going to be a lot of value. Do we see any changes, first of all?
I didn't see. I think Mike Green draws back in for the Red Wings, and then I think who's it? Joey Hicketts is out, and I think that's it on their side of things. And then on the Ottawa side of things, Bobby Ryan is sick and won't play. Some guys making his debut in the fourth line. It's not his debut. It's Max Verano. He was in for a little bit last year, so that's actually not the worst fourth line. Chris Tierney and Chalopik. I think that's it.
Yeah, man. Detroit 1 looks like one of the highest owned lines on the slate. I think that is very smart. I think there's a very good chance they're probably my highest owned line in MME. They're a line I'm strongly considering with my spin ticket and just like single entry stuff. I think they're awesome tonight. I don't really have a reason to fade them. If it would have said 25% ownership, and maybe they're a little bit higher in a tournament like the spin because ownership's a little more concentrated. Like the best value plays are usually a little bit higher owned than what you're seeing in the ownership projections. These are more made for like the $10 tournament where there's a lot more entries. So maybe they're a little bit higher than what we have them in the higher dollar stuff. But I would not want any part of this fade. It doesn't really matter that much who they're going up against. You'd like them to avoid Pajot. They've been pretty impressive. Just Pajot himself has been pretty impressive as a shutdown center. If they're smart enough to maybe limit the time Larkin goes up against them, even better. I mean, I think they'll run over the second and third lines for Ottawa if they get matched up against them. Just going to be a matter of whether or not they're finishing their shots. And Ottawa takes a bunch of penalties. I don't know. I can't find a reason to fade Detroit 1 here. So it's just they're the best play, I think.
The ownership just isn't where it should be. I do like Ottawa 1 on the other side as well, maybe as a contrarian play, but fire up as much Detroit as you want tonight. Find some maybe like what are they going to be 10% total owned? So
who's that?
Detroit 1. What are they at?
So they're we've got Larkin as the highest owned player on the slate, but you got to look at the full stack. So usually Bertuzzi is the lowest one. We've got him under 10. It's always tough to judge like stack ownership, but I think we've got it right in that Larkin's going to be quite a bit higher than Bertuzzi, a little bit higher than Mantha. Someone asked in chat whether or not I omitted Mantha on the cheat sheet. I don't like to put like everyone on the line there, so I usually just pick like a couple of the favorite plays. Like you get the idea. If I put Larkin and Bertuzzi on there or whatever, like obviously I like Mantha.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I like Larkin, it usually means I like Detroit 1, unless they're playing with Helm. Yeah. Brown, Kachuk,
Yeah, man.
Duclair. What do you think about that?
What's that?
Brown, Kachuk, Duclair. Seth says he likes them better than Detroit 1. So.
Oh, sorry. That's the line I meant, actually. Is
Okay.
one of the lines had really good numbers. Let me just take a look
It's
here.
probably Kachuk and Duclair at 5-on-5. They've got.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, so they're like one of the better lines in terms of generating scoring chances in the slate. So that I got no problem going with that one, especially against the Red Wings, who are not exactly strong defensively. I'm guessing. I don't know what the matchup will be though between those two.
I think I agree. I don't know that we're going to see a hard match. I mean, I think actually we're not going to for Detroit. It's just going to be whoever goes up against whoever.
Oh, I should also say Detroit had an optional skate today, so just make sure you're checking those lines beforehand. So be prepared, because you never know with Detroit.
Yeah, if we get word that Helm is on this line, I'm going to tilt my face off at 7:05 Eastern. But whatever. At least now I'm ready for it. Just have to hope tonight's not the night that Jeff Blashill decides to get cute, because that guy sucks. He is the worst coach in the NHL, I think.
Yeah. Mike Babcock, I run for his money.
Why would you? Yeah, Blashill, dude. I don't know. Like every time I watch Detroit, he's just like stone face. His team's losing, and he just.
Better mix up this number one line.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that line should play 25 minutes a night.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Mike Green as well. I like I don't know what we have, what his ownership is, but if you want to stack that up, he's projecting really well for us as one of the better values in the slate, and he's not getting much ownership.
Yeah, I actually like it. 4,300. We've been on Green a couple times lately. I think the price is good on him, and he's probably going to play a lot with Detroit 1. Cholowski, he's still on the power play. That's all the good things I have to say about him, really. Shabbat, 5,400. Probably got to mention him.
Yep.
I'm a little worried about the minutes. Like he's, it's not a huge deal if he's playing over 20 still, but 5,400. He's still priced up. He got 25 last game, but they've been jumping down and dipping closer to like 21, 22. Not a priority defenseman play tonight. Like he's not a Yossi or Gio for me. And so
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. No, it's all right. I'll just give me the Yossi. Give me Gio.
Just 100%, both of them. One guy I forgot to mention earlier as well. I liked Severson as well at 2,700. If you're looking for a punt defenseman tonight, did 25 minutes last game.
For New Jersey?
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, geez, did he get traded to Detroit? No.
Sorry, no, I had it in my notes.
I like it. Alex Biega, 2,700. If he was getting more than like 12 minutes, I mean, maybe.
Biega.
Just give the guy 20 minutes. He'll have like six shots on goal. And yeah. All right, Lightning and the St. Louis Blues, 3.3 implied total for the Lightning, 3.1 for the Blues. Andrei Vasilevsky and Jordan Binnington in net. Any changes here?
Yeah, so the Blues looks like they're putting Tyler Bozak on the top line with Shannon Schwartz. That's kind of interesting, moving him off the wing. They have called up Klim Kostin. He's going on the fourth line with Barbashev and McEachran. Sundqvist moved up to the third line with Sanford and Thomas. And then on the Tampa side of things, Stamkos had a maintenance day-to-day. He's listed as day-to-day. I think that's lowering his ownership pretty to the point of like 1 or 2% or something. I think he's expected to go, and I wouldn't expect any changes in the Tampa side. So if you're doing a 3-2-1 stack and you have a pretty chalky one and you want like a one-off at low ownership, I don't think Stamkos is a bad way to go there. But he's not great tonight.
Yeah, no, they expect him to play. So I think you're okay leaving him in. You've got time to react, and you've got swaps to make if, for whatever reason, he can't go. Dude, I'm getting to barely any Lightning, and that makes me feel really and even talking about MME formats, that makes me really uncomfortable for a couple of reasons. One, and I'm mostly talking about Lightning's top line, Point, Johnson, and Kucherov. Number one, they're really good together. You've got Point and Kucherov on the top power play too, arguably the best power play in the league. And so they're not that expensive, and then relatively they're not that expensive. We saw them be like $21K last year at times, this trio. And then like I keep saying it, and they keep winning games, But the Blues are just not the same team in terms of like shot suppression that they were last year, at least in the second half of the season. So I'm not really sure why I'm not getting to a lot of the point line, but that's going to be one where I make a manual tweak, at least in MME. They're not going to be on my top team unless I just have to make some wild swap or something if I'm drawing dead in 30 minutes into the slate or something. But very doubtful that they make my my top lineup. And then you look at the Blues side, and they're just cheap, right? So you've got O'Reilly, Perron, 5,400 apiece, and then Sammy Blais at 3,100, and then Bozak with Shen and Schwartz. So both of those lines, like mid-tier, lower mid-tier price lines, and a 3.1 total. So I'm kind of stumped on what to do here, if we just take the value or if they're just, because they have some value on the St. Louis side, like, do we just go to other teams that maybe don't project out as well? I mean, how are you kind of treating this situation? Do you like the Blues here?
Yeah, I kind of do. I was curious to see what their ownership was. I think they were kind of one of my favorite sort of like mid-level price stacks. I actually like the second line as well. And let me just look at the ownership though. It's always, because I feel like,
they're close.
5% ownership though. It's a little bit higher than I would like.
Shen's even higher than that. Shen and Schwartz.
6.5, yeah. So what are Shen and Schwartz at?
Shen was flirting with like 10%. Like, this is going to be one of the more owned lines of the night, and that's not
really weird.
Like, I get the goal total, but you've got two balanced lines. Two guys each on the top power play. Like, I don't think Tampa's that great of a 5-on-5 matchup. Yeah. On the road, they're like, they allow a few more shots, scoring chances, and all that. But like, my brain tells me to I don't want to be heavy on any of these St. Louis lines, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Even though I recognize the value, but it's just, I can't, like, they just haven't been good. Like, they just have not been good at 5-on-5.
I guess it's the price point really, and that's what's happening is like you can even fit them in like I think you can fit St. Louis 1 and Boston 1 with that kind of, they're just that low priced. So I'm okay. I'm also okay with like just leaving Bozak off there as well. We've seen them swap that third winger on that line as well. So if you want to do a 3-2-1 stack and do like an O'Reilly Perron or a Shen Schwartz, I think that's okay too. Though, you're going to get that third winger in at a lot less ownership. So,
yeah. I just, this game's going to burn me. I know it is. So like I said, I'm going to force in some Tampa 1 in MME formats, even though they're not really coming up very organically for me. And then on the St. Louis side, I'm just going to probably end up limiting my exposure to them overall, and probably capping them below where we have them in terms of like average ownership for the three guys on the line. It's just, I don't know. I think there's spots that, they might have like one of the best value spots in the night, but I'd rather get different elsewhere rather than play lines I don't necessarily think are great.
Yeah, that's fair.
So we'll see. Maybe they crush me this season, or for the first time this season, I should say. Any defensemen you're looking at here? Hedman, Shattenkirk, McDonough, Parayko, 4,300. He's had some big performances lately. I keep playing Justin Falk for no reason why. He's 3,500. His price keeps plummeting. Sergachev at 4K. I don't know. What else you got? Anything?
Yeah, I like Falk at that price point. I'll keep playing him even though he sucks. So, but no, that's all I got. I'm not super into the defenseman on this slate or in this game too much.
Yeah, fair. All right. Boom is asking for likes in chat. I think that is a great idea, Boom. If you guys could, feel free to hit us with a like. That does help us continue to do this kind of content for free. We know you guys like free. We're offering you a bunch of different free stuff today. Actually, by the way, for free stuff today, we do have the NBA live stream game plan. I forgot to mention this off the top of the show, but that is where Alex goes through the slate and kind of talks through the nuances of Fantasy Cruncher and like building cash and GPP lineups. So check that out if you're playing NBA, or if you just want to see kind of what it's about and see if you want to get your NHL subscription upgraded to like a platinum or something like that, where you get all the sports. And then Nolan's line change article, you're going to want to click on that. That is free today. And so he kind of consolidates the entire slate, talks about different changes, and sort of correlations that he thinks might be interesting for big slates like this. So check those 2 pieces of free content out. We'll have different stuff for tomorrow. And please, once again, feel free to hit us with a like. That does really help us out in a number of different ways. Let's go to Winnipeg and the Nashville Predators, 2.8 implied total for the Jets, 3.7 for the Preds. And we've got Connor Hellebuck and UC Saros in net. Saros is expected. He was the first goalie off the ice, but he's expected to go. Any changes we see here?
Yeah, so it looks like Nashville's reunited their top line from last season. One that we tried to roster as much as possible. 2, our chagrin, never really came through on very many occasions for us. But their underlying numbers at 5-on-5 were very good last season. That's Johansson, Forsberg, and Arvidsson. And then on the 4th line, Kyle Turris, I think, is a scratch. I think he might be a healthy scratch, actually. But Colton Sissons and Austin Watson on the 4th line. On the defense-wise, Steve Santini makes his debut. Yannick Weber out for Nashville. Didn't see anything for the Jets there. So how much Nashville won is too much Nashville won?
I don't know. That's a great question, but I don't know. I guess I'm gonna try to find out, right? So they just grade up so incredibly well. I mentioned playing lines.
No, not getting ownership.
That too. So maybe we're a little bit low on them. I don't know. There's always a chance we're just off. But I kind of understand why, right? People don't like playing Johansson that much.
Yep, Forsberg too expensive.
What's that? Yeah,
Forsberg too expensive.
76. So another guy that he's good raw point play. He's been shooting a ton and creating a lot of scoring chances. So it's not like he hasn't warranted a high price tag. But when you got him priced up there near like Kucherov and like closer to like an Ovechkin price or something like that, yeah, it's just tough for people to look at these names, and they haven't really done all that much. But like the number, like they just keep generating chances. I would rather err on that side and be on a line for a few games in a row or a whole season before it pays off. In Nashville one's case, but I just think they're going to, like, they themselves are going to generate a ton of scoring chances, high danger chances. They do it all the time. The matchup I have nothing bad to say about. Winnipeg's defense is terrible. You look at the numbers for both of these top 2 lines, Scheifele, Connor, and line A, Ehlers, Wheeler, Roslovic, especially the top line, the Scheifele line, which I think they're going to go up against a lot. And they're really bad defensively. Short sample, I guess, but I don't think it's going to get any better against this line in this game. Fully correlated, big total. I mean, if there's ever a Nashville spot, I guess it would be this one. Maybe they're a trap. You can leave off Johansson. Boom's saying he's saying X out Johansson. I suppose you could, but I'll take 3 assists if they do go off and take the 3-point bonus and move on. Yeah, it's a Nashville one night for me. Like they're going to be in heavy consideration for my like single lineup too. So
just putting together a lineup with Jordan Stahl and Ryan Johansson. So I'm going to win tonight.
Wow. Get ready for that 1 assist and 2 shots on goal between the 2.
Oh, man. Carolina 1 and Carolina 3 getting no ownership tonight. I just want to throw that out there. We'll get there next. But, yeah, I'm right there with you. Nashville 1, super great. Nashville 2, I'm okay with at that price point. I like attacking Winnipeg here. They're not very good defensively. This feels like a smash spot, and it feels like because of all the other good lines or like lines that are in good positions on this slate that maybe they're going to go a little overlooked. And then, of course, Roman Josi on the back end, which we will get to right now. But, I'm not in on these Nashville depth lines. I think they've just been priced up due to their success. Like, I'm not paying 5 Gs for Nick Bonino in any circumstance. So it's just not happening.
Yeah, only against Colorado in the playoffs, right?
That's right. And then only on the other side, like I don't actually hate Winnipeg. I'm just curious as to what their ownership has been or what their ownership is going to look like here. I'm guessing it's pretty low.
Yeah. Let me find Scheifele. Yeah, they're low. They're low. I mean,
2% for Line A. Like it's not like Nashville's been like great this year, so I don't know. They've been in some shootouts anyways. Chicago lit them up recently.
Yeah, they're just such a weird team. They should be
doing up their last four games, 7 goals, 5 goals, 2 goals, 9 goals in their last 4.
All right, they can lose. Maybe I'll just take it down with the Scheifele Johansson line game stack. That's fine with me. I actually do like the Jets a little bit, specifically this Scheifele line. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if we can get Nashville one right, but I'm certainly going to be heavy on them in multi-entry, and they might end up in my single-entry lineup, like I said. So they're right up at the top for me. Yossi, that definitely includes him. If you can somehow fit him in for 68, be my guest. If you want to leave out Johansson and force in Yossi, it go down to a min-priced center or something. That's also a way to do a 3-man Nashville stack that might be a little bit unconventional. Ellis is a guy I'd rarely get to at 5,300, but that's really it. What else? Anything?
No.
All right, good. Let's do it. Let's go on. We got a few more games to get through.
We don't have to be out of here, do we?
No, we're good. We can go a couple minutes past if we need to, but keep it. We'll try to keep it as close to 5 Eastern as possible. Let's go Carolina and Chicago. Peter Mrazek and Robin Lehner in net. 3.4 implied total for the Canes. 3.1 for the Blackhawks. Any news here?
Yeah, so Eric Hall's out for the Hurricanes for a while. Looks like indeterminate amount of time. Walmart's going to center that third line now. Kind of like both Carolina 1 and 3. I'm guessing 2, but probably 2. And getting almost no ownership in this matchup. This is a pretty spectacular spot at no ownership to get in on Carolina here. I actually like both sides of this game because I feel like it's just going overlooked. What's the total in this one? What's
6.5? It's a 6.5 total game. I think there's really no like it's like a true 6.
And like Carolina's total's gone up to 3.4. I know like because of the price points on Carolina on the Aho line recently that people have been off them. Like he's less than 1% owned. You can get that Carolina line against Chicago at less than 1% ownership in GPP. Sign me up, man.
Yeah, it seems like a great spot. So I like the spot for Carolina. You're saying Carolina 1 is Aho, Svechnikov, and Teravainen, correct?
I mean, yeah, I guess like the other face-off has them differently, right. But yeah, that's really Carolina.
No, just want to be clear for the viewers. I think we're on the same page. Like we've got Stahl, Zingle, and Fogle listed as the top line. It's not really the top line. The Aho line is the top line. And then I like your call on Carolina 3 as well. I just think Chicago is really bad defensively.
No ownership and cheap, so why not?
Yeah, and so this is like the Florida 1 play. And I think a better 5-on-5 matchup and a better power play matchup too for Carolina, specifically the Aho line. So this is another one where they don't come up that much organically, but I think they should. I think I need to give them some sort of bump. The numbers for the Aho, Svechnikov, Teravainen trio haven't been spectacular, but it's not like they've been bad offensively. Chicago has been on fire. That's certainly true. I just think they're going to come crashing down to earth at some point, and when they do, it's probably going to be with the explosion for the other team. And Carolina, like so many shots. If Leonard's off his game here, this could get real ugly for the Blackhawks.
Yeah.
Anything on the Chicago side you like? Strome line?
I mean, I do like that line, that Chicago, the Kane line as well. I think they've been pretty good of late. So I got no problem going to them. I'm guessing they're also flying under the radar tonight. Patrick Kane always gets his share of ownership, but got no problem. Seabrook as well seems to be too cheap. Our projections really like Seabrook and have for a while now. And then I'm guessing like Dougie Hamilton also going underrated too. Like, I don't know. There's just a lot to like in this game at the current ownership. So
Hamilton's right next to Yossi, and like,
fair.
Yeah, Yossi's my guy. So probably won't get to a lot of Dougie.
Like just a priority tonight, in my opinion.
Yep, agreed. All right, that's it here. I don't really love the Chicago lines. I think Carolina's going to dominate possession for the most part. Blackhawks at home have been better.
Leonard starting?
Leonard's starting. Yeah.
So there's your X factor, I guess. There's your reason to fade Carolina. He's been amazing.
He's been really, really good. If he has an off game though, could be looking at a Carolina 1 or 2 or 3 binking everything. So we'll see. Let's go to Vancouver and Dallas, a less fun one. 2.5 implied total for the Canucks, 2.9 for the Stars. Markstrom, Bishop. This one will go pretty quick. Anything new here, and do you like anything?
I like nothing. I'm still on team fade. Dallas has been playing better, but I'm not playing any Dallas. They did not have a single line above 10% correlated, I think, last game, or 15%, and it's just gross. They switched things up. Dowling looks like he's back on the top line. So I think if you're doing like power play stacks or 2 stars, that's fine. I'm just not getting there tonight. I have no interest in them, and if they go off, that's fine by me. The Vancouver side, Jay Beagle's back in. That's about it. It's pretty gross all around. I think I might have actually 0 exposure to this one.
I'm gonna have some on the Dallas side. Not a lot. I've already come down on them. Their lines, like the propensity to break up lines for the Dallas coach is just like too severe for a 13-game slate. So you've got Pavelski and Radulov on the top power play. You could probably get away with playing Gurianov, Dowling with Seguin and Ben.
I don't know if that's going to stay. Line with Pavelski isn't bad, I guess. But.
Yeah. So they're just value lines. Really nothing more. I don't want to make it seem like it's a great spot, but the numbers I like to look at suggest that maybe Vancouver isn't a team that you can't really like. They're not a team I think you need to avoid attacking despite the low total. I think that's more a product of Dallas's offense. You're probably not seeing more than a few goals here, even if things go really well for Dallas, because they never seem to put up a ton of goals. And this game is pretty ugly outside of just looking for a value line that scores multiple goals. I think you could go to Dallas too.
Yeah.
Dallas mindset, we've given a penalty, switch the lines. Yeah, it's just like no matter what, they're just getting swapped. And so they've got all their guys on different lines. I don't know what to do with them in general. Defenseman here, Edler 61, Lindell 43, no Klingberg yet. I don't know. It's bad. Hoping this one stays quiet too. Under 5.5 total, or I guess 5.5 total shading towards the under, so less than 5.5 expected goals here. That's very low in today's NHL. Let's go to Colorado and Calgary. 2.9 implied total for the Avs, 3.1 for the Flames. Philip Grubauer and David Rittich in net. Is this line correct?
I think
McKinnon
so.
with Burakovsky and Donskoy. Is that true?
No, I didn't even see that one. I think I missed this game. Am I right up? Oh no, I totally missed the Colorado side. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Let me do a quick search for this. Is this a legit line? Because that would change some things for me. I don't see it tweeted
while you're looking that up, let me know. And on the Calgary side, it looks like it's Backlund and Monahan are switching spots. So Backlund's going to center that top line, and Monahan moves down to Kachuk and Mangiapane.
All right, so they're saying it is a legit line, the McKinnon with Burakovsky and Donskoy. All right, well, that's pretty fun, I think.
Can you fire me that? Did you find a link?
Someone link it in Slack. Josh, I know, is a premium member. Find that link quick so Nolan can see that, and I want to see it too, like where it was linked. If you could find that quick. I can't find it on Twitter, but I'm also trying to produce the show right now, so
that's all good. I found it.
So they're fully correlated. Power play 1. Calgary line's in flux. I don't know what they're going to do, if they're going to try to match Backlund, Gaudreau, Lindholm at 5-on-5 with McKinnon, Burakovsky, Donskoy. Don't really care. Backlund without Kachuk is a little bit different. You take Kachuk off that line, and it becomes worse defensively. So them being split up is really helpful, I think, to Colorado 1. And now you've got a real line mate with McKinnon and Burakovsky. You already had Donskoy, of course, and they had been dominant, but you add in Burakovsky on the top power play, and now it makes it at least easier for me to know where I want to go here. Wasn't getting to a lot of Calgary. If I had to choose a line, it would probably be the Monahan line. Monahan, Kachuk, I like that duo a little bit on offense. And then on the Colorado side, it's just McKinnon or probably no one. Power play stack if you wanted to include Kadri somehow, but too cheap for Burakovsky if he's going to play extended time with McKinnon.
I'm not finding that. Someone, I'll just check in chat. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I do like the Monahan line just a little bit more. So I'm totally with you on that one. And then, yeah, I kind of like that Colorado line now that I mentioned it.
Oh
McKinnon's
yeah.
just on fire right now. I'm guessing it's also not going to be overly highly owned as a trio. So why not, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to go through Votz's list here for the Avs and see if I can find this quick. It doesn't matter. I
2%.
mean,
His
everyone's
wingers are
saying
2%.
say that
It's
again.
not. His wingers are 2% owned.
Yeah, it's too low. Way too low. Let's see here. It's in some report they said, so we'll find
Okay.
it. We trust you guys. Other than that, like I've got nothing in this game outside of Geo. Geo's
Dano? Yeah.
5,500, and he shouldn't be 5,500. Kale McCarr, I think he's actually in play at 55. Just been shooting a little bit more. I've been wrong on him a bunch of times. He goes in these couple game spurts where he's attempting a bunch of shots, and then he's not. He's being more of a passenger. But 55, if you're playing Colorado 1, that's probably your defenseman you want to pair with. That'd probably be the
Narrative
defenseman
three
you
here.
want.
I feel like Calgary's pissed, and they're coming out flying tonight.
Yeah.
We got Barris. Like they're I don't know. I feel like this just a gut call, but I feel like Calgary's gonna play a little bit better tonight. So I kind of like sprinkling in some of these top lines.
Yeah. Backlund going to slow down McKinnon. I don't think so. Not really anyone has been able to slow down McKinnon. He's just on another level right now.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
No one is, man. He's just unbelievable. Just that goal he scored in overtime against the Canucks. Like, it's just like man amongst boys.
Yeah.
Like, you cannot stop him.
He's like moving at a different speed. Like,
yeah, he really was. It's like, I was like, he just blitzed through the entire team, and I was like, oh my God, like, it's just like, he does everything so well.
It's crazy. Amazing. Yeah. Yeah, so this one definitely going to get to more Colorado 1 than I otherwise was if it was going to be Calvert or Nieto on that line. So I'm pretty excited to see where I end up on Colorado, to be honest. Toronto and Vegas, we've got a 3.1 implied total for the Leafs, 3.4 for the Golden Knights, Freddie Anderson and Marc-Andre Fleury in net. Line changes here.
Toronto is screwing around a little bit with their lines, I think. Up. Sorry, it's been a busy slate today. There's a lot going on.
I think Toronto's lines are, well, the top two at least are good.
Fourth line, Pierre Engvall is playing tonight. That's all I got. And actually, they mixed up their pairings as well. So it's Morgan Riley and Justin Holl, and then Muzzin, CC, Dermott, Tyson Barrie in the doghouse in the third pairing. Barry's going to get Babcock fired. Vegas, I think everything is the same.
Yeah. What side do you like here, if either?
I don't know, like just the numbers popping. I like the Vegas side of things. The first time I opened the slate, I thought like Josh Stack Vegas 1-2 because Toronto's playing so poorly right now and just doesn't. They just seem to like have quit on their coach and no Marner, one of their two best defensive forwards. So I think that I like the Eakin line a lot. I'm pretty impressed with the numbers. Looks like they've been one of the better lines so far. Small sample size, but they've been pretty good together. What say you?
I love Vegas too. The Eakin, Marchessault, Stone line. I don't love Eakin, but I feel like anyone that's decent at hockey, centering those two is going to be okay. And
yeah, you get a price discount.
Yeah, so they saw more time against the Calgary second line last game, which is exactly what I would want here against Tavares and Hyman, Kapanen. Just the Matthews line has been so good offensively that their defensive numbers aren't even bad, just because they've been so awesome. Like they just haven't been giving up that many chances, whereas the Tavares line so far, short sample, but they've been pretty poor defensively in their first couple games, with Hyman back even. So Marner is a huge difference maker not being on that line. I'm all over Eakin, Marchessault, and Stone. And then, I mean, you could certainly go to the top line too. I will have that line in MME, of course, and I'll probably have some of the Vegas third line. If I'm going to a Leafs line, I was getting some of the Tavares line, but the more I look at it, the more I would just want to play Toronto 1 or probably nothing here. Just, you're betting on talent with Matthews, Johnson, and Nylander. Numbers are through the roof. But I kind of like, going back to the Vegas side, I kind of like 2 over 1 just because, one, the Carlson, Pacioretty, Smith line has had better results lately, but the numbers point to the Eakin line as a better line so far as in terms of chance generation. So I'm sure the ownership is going to be similar on those two. But yeah, pretty excited for this game.
Nice. Yeah, I like it. Right there with you. I'm not going to be on the Toronto side. Schmidt's been tearing it up, so don't mind going to him.
I like Theodore. Well, I mean, I like Schmidt. Don't get me wrong. I definitely like Schmidt, but a little bit of a price gap. You can play either one with any of the top 3 lines too, which is good. But I usually lean towards Theodore a little bit. The results, like I said, for Vegas 1 compared to Vegas 2, they've been on Schmidt's side lately, but
I just still think like Theodore ever appeared on a winning lineup in the entire history.
I mean, I think I had him on a couple last year.
All right.
That was a long time ago, though. It feels very long time. What's that?
So you shut me down there pretty quick.
No, I don't know. I mean, he's not Gio, he's not Yossi, he's not Burns, but no, I get what you're saying. Like, he's not necessarily the highest upside player, but hopefully he appears on a winning lineup tonight. Yeah. All right.
Fire off the 1% owned Connor McDavid. Let's go.
Yeah, man. Oilers, Sharks, last game of the night. 3.1 implied total for the Oilers, 3.5 for the Sharks. Mikko Koskinen and Marty Jones in net here. Any changes for this last one?
Not seeing too much. The Sharks did recall Sumela. I'm going to butcher his name. Sumela from the HL. So I don't know if he's actually going in tonight. He could be on the 4th line in place of one of these guys, but for the most part, it looks like everything the same. Though I should say they did. I looked at their last game. They shuffled their lines, all of them, like during the third, I think. So, and there was no real injury. I don't think. Like Hurdle was injured the game before that, so I couldn't see anything. Maybe I missed it, but just so you know, San Jose, maybe there's a chance they shuffle.
Interesting. I was not anticipating that at all. So they played the Oilers at home, actually, I think just about a little over a week ago. And they actually did have the Hurdle line going up more against McDavid. So that's why I was wondering, like, are they even going to switch anything around? Let's see when. Yeah, this was last.
So Marleau was off the Thornton line. Marleau was playing with LeBanc and I don't even know who. LeBanc and Couture. Yeah, it was LeBanc, Couture, and Marleau for a bit in the third. Like, it was just really weird lines.
Yeah. So what I noticed was that Hurdle was seeing the most time against McDavid. Probably going to see a bunch of time against him again. So I kind of like the Hurdle-Meyer combo. If you're 2-manning, that seems like a really fun 2-man. And then if you're full stacking, if you're 3-man forward stacking, hard to get away from San Jose 1. Do you like McDavid here, or is it just the ownership you're seeing? Like, do you like the actual spot?
I think I don't hate it as well. And actually I like putting Cassian on that line too. That in terms of 5-on-5 ice time, that combo led the slate in terms of like everyone on their very last game. So I think they had 35% 5-on-5 ice time together. I don't know, like Cassian getting left off on a 1% owned line. Like, he had 17 minutes last game out against Dallas. Was that an overtime game? It might have been. But like, yeah, sign me up at that ownership. It's not like the Sharks and Marty Jones are any good. So I will definitely be overweight on them tonight.
Yeah. It seems like the smart play if they're going to be only a few percent owned.
Doesn't take much, right? Like 20 maxing, I'm probably going to have like 5 lineups.
20 max. Yeah, I think that's probably a correct way to play if you're playing the 20 max. I got to almost none of them. Like, they're so expensive, McDavid and Draisaitl. But
that's fair, right? Like, it makes total sense.
Draisaitl's averaging, and McDavid, almost 2 points per game. Like, they've had all these crazy performances. So they're matchup proof, obviously. You don't need to like worry about the matchup that much with them. And the ownership I think the ownership is at a spot you want it to be. So this is your chance to get a low-owned or lower-owned McDavid, Draisaitl stack. But I'm a little bit more on the San Jose side. We'll see. We'll see how we end up here. I'm going to feel like a real idiot if McDavid goes off at 5%.
I'll tell you what, man. When they went off, I had Carolina 1 at like less than a point on percent ownership at Buffalo, and I thought I was so smart. And like they had like 3 goals together, and then like McDavid just went ham.
Oh yeah,
you feel like such an idiot every time he goes ham and you don't have him. Like, so
yeah, he's the worst. He's the worst.
Yeah, one more question before we get out of here. I wanted to ask you: do you like Detroit 2 at all?
Detroit 2. Is that Fabry with
Yeah.
Filppula and Athanasiou. Yeah, I think
It
they're
feels like a
fine.
nice kind of pivot.
Yeah, they're fine as like a pivot. I'm more focused on Detroit one though.
One more question. Vegas 3.
Yeah, I think I mentioned them. If I didn't, yeah,
You did?
I
Okay,
do
sorry.
like Vegas 3. I love my boy Tuck. Anywhere where Tuck's at 4,600, I'm all about that. And I like the line. Their price is pretty decent as a whole. Vlasic and Carlson are probably going to hard match McDavid. So that pairing, like you can of course play Carlson, but if you're looking for a cheap defenseman, I think Vlasic is a guy that I will play. Maybe some chance at maybe some block shots and just seeing 20 plus minutes for 2,900. You could do worse than him there. So just wanted to make sure I mentioned that. You know what to do with Burns. He's not a priority play for me tonight. Certainly up there though. I just have Yossi a little bit higher, and Gio, it's hard to argue with the value he provides.
Yeah, makes sense.
All right, man, we did it. 13 games.
Did it. Huge.
And a bunch of people in here. So thanks everyone for watching. Feel free to hit us with a like. It does really help us out. It helps us continue to do this kind of content for free. And we do have Osmo's NBA game plan that's free today. Nolan's line change article is also free today if you want to check that out. And then shout out to Yahoo Daily Fantasy Sports for sponsoring this. We love playing over there, lower management fees, and a little bit weaker competition. You're not going to find as many pros over there. A lot of 10 max stuff for various sports. So go support Yahoo Daily Fantasy Sports. And anything else you want to mention before we get out of here?
That's all I got.
All right. Thanks for joining us, guys. Good luck. Take it down.